Hey guys, it's Moist Gaming's Doc and Forset, and today, April 22nd, there was a new patch for the Legion Alpha, releasing Court of Stars, located in Suramar City. So even though there's not a heroic version out yet, we jumped in on normal to go ahead and try it out, and I have to say, it is a beautiful, beautiful dungeon, even if it's filled with enemies who want to kill you. There's only 3 bosses, and right as of right now, there doesn't seem to be too many heroic mechanics added on the normal as far as the dungeon guide says, but I'm hoping they add more in so it's more interesting. So we will jump into it with the first boss, which is Patrol Captain Gerdo.
One of the biggest things to watch out for in this fight is Resonant Slash, where Patrol Captain Gerdo will use a huge cleave from the front and back, a lot like Horadon from the Throne of Thunder raid. Getting hit from either side will deal 900,000 arcane damage and stun you for 4 seconds, so just be sure you don't face the group as a tank and be sure to be a good DPS and stand at the sides of him at all times.
At around 70%, Gerdo will cast Signal Beacon. He'll call out for assistance and request aid from all the active watch posts in the area. This will bring about 4 Night Watch reinforcements in, which the tank will need to be picked up, and they should be passively cleaved because combined they do a decent amount of damage to the tank.
Gerdo will use an ability called Arcane Lockdown to put 3 stacks of a debuff on all players that reduce movement speed by 30% and deal 60,000 arcane damage every 1 second per stack. When Gerdo uses this ability, all you have to do is jump to remove the stacks of the debuff. Jumping 3 times will fully remove the stacks, making Demon Hunters pretty good at dealing with this mechanic.
At about 20%, Patrol Captain Gerdo will run towards the fountain in the middle of the room to drink Flask of the Night, which will increase his haste by 30% and damage done by 30%. This is his effective enrage for the fight, so be ready to burn him quickly before your tank gets killed.
The other mechanic that he should use is Street Sweeper. However, he didn't use it during the fight. By the sounds of the dungeon journal, it looks like it summons something that creates a line going through everyone that would deal 600k arcane damage to anyone still in it after 3 seconds. Perhaps this is a heroic mechanic that's still in the dungeon journal. Before you can start the next encounter, you have to get rid of her entourage, consisting of 3 demons, as when they are together they give each other a buff called Fell Covenant. This buff increases their allies' health and damage by 100% per buff. To lure those demons away from her, you have to kill certain adds around the surrounding area called Fellbound Enforcers. Each one you kill will cause another of her covenant to come to the location that they died. Here on the screen is where the 3 Fellbound Enforcers were for us when we did it. The 3 demons, when they are away from Talixay Flame Wraith, are glorified trash mobs. The first will do a small whirlwind to all nearby enemies. The Observer will use an eye beam that deals a decent amount of damage and reduce the target damage by 5% that stacks, hitting them once every second for 5 seconds. And the last will use a Shockwave ability that deals a ton of damage and stuns you for 3 seconds if you get hit by it. Once these adds are taken care of, you can go ahead and start the boss encounter.
Flame Wraith will cast Burning Intensity, which applies a persistent aura on herself that inflicts 80,000 fire damage to all players every 3 seconds, and each application increases the caster's fire damage done by 15%. It's important to note that on normal, she only casts it at 1 time, so perhaps the time between casts is really long, and it'll probably speed up on heroic.
Talixay Flame Wraith will also use Infernal Eruption to summon flame geysers under all players that, after a few seconds, will erupt and deal 300,000 fire damage and knock them into the air. Much like Tyrant Valhari in the Hellfire Citadel, the geysers will persist through the rest of the fight and detonate if anyone comes into contact with them. When this ability goes out, just move the boss to a different area so that you don't risk triggering the geysers by accident.
Flame Wraith will also periodically cast Withering Soul, which will apply a debuff to all players that reduces their maximum health by 5% and movement speed by 10%. This will stack, so the idea here is to have the healer cycle dispels on players so that way no one's getting too many stacks at one time and basically being one-shot material based on their maximum health pool. After killing Flame Wraith, an NPC will appear and they will provide you with a disguise to infiltrate a party. You have to talk to multiple chatty rumor mongers to provide clues to the identity of a spy in the midst of the nobles. They'll give descriptions such as what they're wearing or how their hair is done. You have to accuse the enemy spy noble in order to fight them, kill them, and get the key to move on. However, if you accuse a noble that is not the spy, you will be kicked out of the shindig and stunned for 16 seconds.
So once you finish dealing with the party infiltration stuff, we get on to fighting Advisor Melandrus. During the fight, he will charge to a random player with Blade Surge and deal a decent amount of damage to anyone within 5 yards of him, and leaving a nasty bleed on them that ticks for 170,000 damage every 2 seconds for 12 seconds. Every time Melandrus uses Blade Surge, he will leave an image of himself at the location he landed at. This is an integral mechanic, as Doc will explain.
Advisor Melandrus' other two abilities are Piercing Gale and Slicing Maelstrom. Not only will he do it, but also his images that are left behind by Blade Surge. Piercing Gale is a line of physical damage that is done after a short cast, and Slicing Maelstrom is 70k physical damage every 1 second for 4 seconds, done to all party members. Remember, this is duplicated by his images. At the time of running this, these were the listed mechanics for both normal and heroic, so besides for scaling, we hope that they add at least some more interplay between abilities, or more abilities in general, because this fight's pretty easy.
Yeah, the first two bosses were actually a lot of fun. I didn't really enjoy having to go through the trash rigmarole for the second boss. However, it added a bit of flavor to it and helped extend the dungeon's life a little longer. But the last boss definitely seemed like it was lacking.
Yeah, it seemed like the main thing that this dungeon has going for it is the art, because it's beautiful. Alright guys, thanks for watching. This has been Moist Gaming with another dungeon guide. Hopefully it gets better. If you like this, maybe you'll like some of our older videos, you know, like Halls of Valor, or Maw of Souls, and the Niflgar. Click one of the links below. Don't forget to like this video, or hit that subscribe button for more future content. Why don't you leave a comment below telling us what you liked about the video?